Hi everyone, and welcome to this week. Thank you so much for watching my videos. I really appreciate the feedback that you're giving me, and it's great that I am able to help some of you, and I can, give you some tools, some advice maybe that will help you to get to where you want to be. So if you want more about cravings management and how sugar is affecting our brains, how that works, why we struggling so much, I would like to invite you to join my free membership site. And you can find the link to that either in the description to this video, or if you go to the main channel page on the banner, there will be a little button that you can click. And while I'm at it, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell button, and you will be notified whenever I'm posting a new video or when I'm going live. So that would be great if you could come and join me live. You can ask whatever questions you may have. So this week, as one of the topics in September, I'm going to talk about how many of us think that we are not good enough. And when it comes to not being good enough, I'm not talking about a specific thing. We are just not good enough in general. Somehow we think that other people are so much better than us, that they are better human beings altogether. And all of this just basically leads to us feeling pretty miserable. We want to hide, often behind food. And we kind of start questioning what's the point of even trying when we're not good enough? We're not going to ever be good enough. So if I'm trying and failing, I'm just proving to myself once again that I'm not being good enough. And eventually that will also, it will feel like it's a very unfulfilling task to try and chase the being good enough when you don't feel as if you're ever going to reach it. And even if you succeed in whatever it is that you're doing that you think is a good thing, we're still not good enough because we're humans, and we humans make mistakes. There's always something in your life that is not going to be good enough in your book. So that's where the food, the alcohol, the drugs, social media, Netflix, we're hiding behind lots of things because we want to escape reality. We don't really want to face how not good enough we are. So I wanted to consider this. If, or when you're born, or when anyone is born, you have a perfect little baby. And I'm sure most people would agree that that baby is good enough. Even if the baby was born with just 9 toes or some other sort of defect. The baby is still good enough. Why would we then, when we grow up, all of a sudden lose this? And I want you to really, really think about this. So you're perfectly good enough when you're born. When does this disappear? When are you not good enough anymore? When does this happen? Is it when you're 1 year old, 2, 3, 4, 5? I don't know. What is it that change your perspective of it? Why would you not be good enough anymore? That's my question. So imagine this little girl or boy or whatever, an innocent child growing up, and her whole life she's being told that she's fat and she's useless and she's eating too much. She's getting asked, why do you keep eating when you know that it's making you fat? Why is it that you can't stop? You're eating that much food will just make you ugly and unattractive. Maybe you will never find a man. Whatever sort of verbal abuse she will have to go through. She's going to grow up and feel a tremendous amount of shame around eating. She may not ever be comfortable eating in public because she will feel that shame, as if people are judging her because she's not good enough. So she may be hiding in her closet. Shut up. Excuse my dogs. She might be hiding in her closet with a 6-pack of donuts or something, where no one can see her eating them. Because, oh my god, Nessie. So my dog had a dental procedure 2 days ago to clean her mouth, and they put a tube in her mouth, and now she's coughing as soon as she gets upset, and there was a dog barking outside. So excuse the interruption. So she might just be hiding, eating donuts, where in her only safe spot, which is in her closet, or in her home when she's growing up, whatever that is. And this might be the only type of enjoyment that she has in her life. It's the only pleasure she has. She might not even have any friends because she's not confident enough to approach people. She might be overweight and being judged for that and being bullied and all those kind of external circumstances. So donuts might be her only friend or what she perceives to be her friend. Does this mean that this girl is not good enough? I think we all, from this perspective, I hope anyway, can say that of course she's good enough. It's not her fault. She has been bullied, she has been judged, and she has been pretty much brainwashed into thinking that she's not good enough because of her behaviors. And I want to tell you that this is not true. She's still good enough. Her behavior might not be such as that it is good for her, but the behavior of this little girl is just hurting herself. It's not actually hurting someone else. So for some of you, it might be easier if I'm actually talking about animals. So dogs, good example. I love dogs. I have two. One is very annoying right now. But there we go. And I just love dogs. I think dogs are lovely as a concept. They are all good enough in my book. I can look at any dog pretty much and think that that is a perfect little dog in its own way. Nessie. I'm gonna have to kick her out soon because there's a dog barking on the other side of the street. And I might have a preference. I might like some dogs better than other dogs because I like their personality better or the way they're behaving towards me. So I have one dog that never licks me, and I have one dog that used to want to lick my face all the time. I don't like being licked in my face. Now, this is my dog, so I could teach her not to do this, and that's fine. But if I meet a dog on the street that would run up to me, jump all over me, and lick my face, I'm instinctively not going to really like this dog. I'm going to like the dog, but I'm not going to like the behavior that this dog has. It's still a good enough dog. It's still totally worthy, and I'm sure there are many people that would love this dog for its behavior, and it's just a dog. That's what dogs do. So if we can transfer this kind of thinking to humans, and especially yourself, because it's always easy to accept and think that other people are good enough rather than ourselves. Somehow we put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect, and we can simply not accept that we are not good enough without having the perfect body, or not eating just the things that are good for us, or without getting that dream job that we applied for but we never got, or because we did something that we think is immoral or not very nice to another person and we're regretting that, and therefore we are not good enough. I want to tell you that this is bullshit. You're still good enough. Your behavior might not have been ideal, but you are still good enough. So what if you could just accept that human beings do terrible things at times? As a group of people, everyone will do something at some point that we might not think is a good thing. To ourselves or to other people, probably both, and so do dogs. If I can use this term, we're socializing dogs so that they are getting along with other dogs and they function in society and so on. And we do that with humans as well. We usually don't use that term, but let's say that if humans were not socialized, how would we behave? We would most likely be very rude. We will be very selfish, and we'll probably be quite inappropriate in the way that we were approaching other people. So just look at how children behave. With time, they grow up into adults and they mature during that time. But what we're not if they hadn't been taught how to behave in a socially acceptable manner, this wouldn't necessarily come naturally. Not all people would grow up and have this perspective. Just look at different cultures. In some cultures, some behaviors are totally acceptable to the culture where I'm coming from, but to them it's totally acceptable because they have grown up and they have been socialized in that way. So we need to kind of broaden our perspective a little bit. You are obviously quite fine to have your boundaries and decide what you think is acceptable behavior, but you can also change your mind about that if it doesn't make any sense to you. But I want you to come from a place of compassion for yourself, that actually you are a human being and not all behaviors that we have and that we do are natural to us. They wouldn't be. Because what is natural for us is to do things that will increase our survival. And that is always coming from a very selfish place, I'm afraid. And it's the same thing with my dogs. If I hadn't taught my dogs, excuse me, when they were puppies, to not bite me when I'm taking a bone off of them, they will bite me now if I'm trying to do that. Now, I've taught both my dogs that I am allowed to take food off them whenever I want, and they are fine with it. But I had to teach them that, and that's fine. They are now good about it. They would never ever bite me in such a situation. It wouldn't happen. But both of them tried as puppies, because that's what dogs do. Dogs protect their food. If they hadn't done that, they would have been less likely to survive in the wild, and therefore that gene that would produce a more submissive dog that would give up their food would have died out with those dogs. So dogs are designed this way, and so are we humans. But somehow we think that we can get away from our design just because we live in a socialized society, and therefore we should be something that we're not necessarily by design, that is not natural to us. And if we're not good enough. But we are. So whenever you are judging yourself for not being good enough, ask yourself if this is a human thing. If it's a human thing that you're doing. And it most likely is. And if you can accept that that is what it is, and that it's actually neutral without judging it as something bad, then you can kind of get to a place of seeing yourself as being good enough. So now some of what our behaviors we deem as bad or immoral, and it might be something that we're not proud of, and it doesn't make us feel very good when we do them, but it doesn't mean that you're not good enough. Guess what? Humans make poor choices. We do it all the time. You might swear that you're not going to do it again, but you will. Might not be the same thing, but you're going to make a poor choice in some sort of way at some point, I'm pretty sure, and I am as well. So in some ways we're just like dogs, we act instinctually, and other ways we are totally different, and we're just reacting in a poor manner when we are faced with maybe feeling threatened by someone, or when we're being hurt, or if we're getting our ego hurt. All of a sudden we just start behaving like someone who we don't actually really know, someone who's in a reactive mode, reacting to the situation. And afterwards we don't feel very proud of the way that we were behaving. And that's totally normal. We all have this. Whenever any one person feels attacked, we instinctually go into the defensive mode, and the shape that may take may be different for different people, but most likely it's not going to be your finest moment in time. It just means that you're in a reactive mode. And you might have made a mistake, and that's fine. You're still a good human. So if you can accept this, then you might start asking yourself, like, why would I bother doing good things if I'm already good enough? And the simple answer to this is that because it feels really damn good to do good things. To me, doing good things and see that gives or makes someone else's day a better day gives me a huge amount of satisfaction. So by me doing good things for others, I'm actually really selfish, because that will increase my sense of feeling great about what I'm doing. So it just makes your experience of life much better than if you weren't doing good things. So if you can see yourself as just a human rather than someone who should be above it all, that is very hard for most of us to do, including me. When I'm trying to do that and think, yeah, I'm just human, I'm just a human, my brain instinctually just tells me that. But humans don't have personality. You're not just one human, you have a personality. Of course you're different. And yes, I am different, but I'm still human. And my ego says, you don't want to be like everyone else, and surely you should be able to be better than that and be in control of yourself 100% of the time. Unfortunately, I'm not, but I'm striving towards being in control of most things in my life, as in those things that I can control, which is mainly my thinking and my reactions to that. It's not happening all the time. I'm also reacting to situations. And I'm a control freak, by the way, when it comes to myself, not so much to the environment. It's none of my business. My brain also have thoughts like only weak people give in to cravings. So if I'm doing that, I want to beat myself up over giving into that craving, because that means that I'm weak and I am not good enough. And I want to tell you that that is completely and utterly wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. People are designed to have cravings for our survival. So if I didn't have any cravings, I wouldn't be evolved as someone who has cravings. All it means is that I'm perfectly designed for my own survival. And this is actually a good thing, but it is not serving me in the sort of society that we're living in today, because we have food and we have sweets, we have everything that we need, and all I have to do is pay a couple of dollars to fill my guts with cheap donuts. And that's terrible. That is not a good thing. But my brain thinks it's good, and you feel very satisfied when you're doing it until you stop doing it and you feel awful. So it's really, really hard to kind of get out of this kind of thinking. It's really hard to accept that we are human, and therefore, per design, will want to do certain things, whether we like to do them or not. But nothing good will ever come from you beating yourself up. Believe me. The good will come out of you, that you know that you are good enough as you are, and that you genuinely want to treat yourself as the fully worthy human being that you are. So when we want to take care of ourselves and give ourselves the best chance of having the life that we really, really want, that life that you might not dare dream about because you don't think that you're good enough to get it, that's when we can start taking care of ourselves, and when we can truly believe that that we are good enough. Because if we can believe that we are good enough, we will want to do these things for ourselves. I think my dogs are good enough, and I'm doing pretty much what I can to give them the best food ever, to give them the daily walks, to give them as much love that I have to give them. I want to give them everything that they need, because they are perfectly dogs. I love them. And often we forget to do that to ourselves. We fill ourselves with crap food, and we sacrifice our sleep. We don't get the exercise. We're not doing the things that we know are good for us, despite the fact that we should be wanting to take care of ourselves. But if you know that you're already good enough and you matter, you are worthy as a person, no matter your actions, hopefully you can try and get to a place where you know that you're just human, and that's why you make mistakes at times. So once you can get there, once you can see yourself as a good enough human being, it will be so much easier for you to treat yourself with love and respect, and so much easier for you to follow through with whatever commitments you might have and not look back from there, really. So I know I didn't have any action steps for you today, but I want you to maybe watch this video again if it was all a bit much, but just find that acceptance of you being a human being and knowing what that actually means, what that entails, what a human being actually is, and not trying to think about how you think that you should be behaving or even why. It's so easy to think that we are somehow superhuman and we can do these things, but in the end of the day we're all human. We can work on ourselves, we can broaden our perspective, we can be more accepting, and just accept that to get to a place where you know that you are good enough. I will see you again next week. Thank you for watching.